I want to go a lot further deeper into how I say things about the letters, the symbols, the numbers, and all that stuff. I am not in any way at all, not in any possible fathomable way in human life. Am I joking, kidding, lying, making anything up? I'm only telling as much as I can say in our words, as best as I can, when I'm in the right frame of mind. I also have a life, of my own, supposedly, but I'm part of this world. So I'm trying to interact with people the way they are when they're not being receptive. That's difficult. So when you get to the point where you've tried it so much that when you finally get to, you're so excited you're all over the place because you're like, wow, somebody actually wants to hear this. But if you knew that they would be calm and be around to hear more and ask specific questions or just ask any questions so that they could help prompt you into a direction that they want answers on or the discussion that they'd like to partake in. And it can always come back to the words to explain it because that's how we've learned everything. But once we get to the point where people are like, well, what's this mean? What's that mean? What's this mean? What's that mean? Let me just use one tiny example. Will the word violence ever disappear? No. Not unless we change all of our letters and try to change all the sounds we make out of our mouth, and that would be silly. We can't do that now. We've known it too much. We've talked it our whole life. Don't tell me after the age of even 10 or 20 that you think that somehow, unless you got some kind of brain injury and you lost your memory, that you would completely forget how to talk. Unless you had something dramatic, traumatic, or something happen that disabled you to do it, or like you were just sheltered and kept a slave and weren't allowed to talk or whatever for years and years and years and years, and then you forgot to, like maybe you were a child that talked till like age 6 and then you were taken in by a different speaking dialect language, but that's different. So what I want to say is that the deeper part of it is that it has nothing at all in the spiritual sense to do with words, letters, numbers, and symbols at all. But it's the only way I can explain it. It's the only way I can talk about it. How could I talk about it without words? Because I can speak with my mind, but other people aren't trying to hear it. That's the reason they don't. That's the only reason they don't. The only. And they would be like, oh, no way. Nuh-uh. I'm like, do you believe that you can? And they would say no. If they say, oh, I believe I can, hear with my mind. I believe I can, talk with my mind to people. You talk with your mind all the time to yourself. You hear with your mind all the time with yourself. And so does everybody else. But they're listening to what they're thinking. They're not listening to what other people are thinking by going into their mind, looking at them, asking themselves, how is this being feeling right now? Doesn't matter if it's male, female, dog, cat, pig, tree, anything. How is this being feeling? What is their life like? What is their experience? And how can I interact in a peaceful way? Or allow them to be themselves? Or offer my assistance? Or just join in on the wonderful time that we're having here on Earth in this lifetime? Why would that seem so hard for people to deal with? And so what I really want to get at is that when it comes down to the point where people start understanding this and we start learning in a uniform way, but not in a uniform as in like everyone has to, but it's the way that we communicate. It's not like you have to communicate with us. You have to. People are going to want to. You're not brought into the world being like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I want to be left alone. That happens after you meet people that are rude to you. That's after something scares you. That's after something humiliates you. That's when you stay away from people. Now, I stay away from people now because they're doing the wrong things to themselves. And if I try to offer them assistance or offer them advice or help, they get mad at me about it. And I can't keep being around people who are negative and shutting me off because I can't be in a place of where, all right, let's say everybody that's in the area I'm at is loud and angry and cranky. Yeah, if I had to, I could. But let's just say that you can't get any peace. You can't get alone. Everywhere you go, someone's listening to some horror movie or watching some violence or arguing or getting drunk or trying to find a chick or a dude. They're so busy with what they think they want because they're hooked on needing something. I need something. Got to do something. I'm so bored. Oh, ooh, ooh. It's like they're running around with their heads going all over the place. But it's inside and you can't see it. But that's how it's going. And inside, once they get that balance, they'll realize that words and letters and symbols and everything was here for us to take in, analyze, learn, and then correct, make it better. Not just go, well, that's what the powerful people told us to do, and I'm afraid to get disciplined for doing the fucking right thing. You know? It's just cockamamie, almost. It's crazy. When you get to the point where what I'm saying is we don't need the words and letters, of course we don't. Let's say, back to violence. The word violence will never disappear. Will the act of violence ever disappear? No. Why is that? Because we say there's violent winds, there's violent rains, there's violent storms, stuff like that. But inside your body, bacteria is fighting bacteria. That's violence in its own way, upon themselves. Inside yourself, there's all kinds of violence going on, especially when you eat garbage. You're doing yourself violence by doing that. But once you get to the point where you stop causing yourself violence, it's much easier to not cause others violence. In fact, it's almost automatic that you become a healer. Literally. By healing yourself, you know how to heal others. And you can help them. And no one can say, my body composition doesn't work that way. I was born with this disability. I was born... Talk yourself out of the stuff you've been talked into. You've either been talked into it or told into it. You had a reaction as a baby. Oh, he's allergic to this because the doctor said so, and he must be because he threw up. Maybe you gave him too much. Maybe he didn't like it. Maybe the flavor was gross. Maybe just something different than you think, and then you train that baby to think that way. They can hear you when they're little babies. They just don't know what it means, but their bodies do, because our cellular beings that we are remember, whether the brain has been able to understand it or not. Because we live in a world where we say tree, fence, cow, horse, business. They grow up with those ideas and sounds in their head. And then they ask, what's a blah, blah, blah? What's a blah, blah, blah? And you tell them a vague little description. And if you don't know, you say, look it up in the dictionary. And they don't even have a dictionary anymore. They just boop, 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 Google or Wikipedia or something. And they get some description from somebody else. So what do you learn your whole life? What somebody else tells you. It's okay to like violence, watch violence, partake in violence. Wow, why not? We're allowed to do whatever. Do whatever you want in the world. Do what you love. Do what you feel you should do. It should have a meaning. If it doesn't have a meaning, first of all, of course, to you, then why would you do it? But in the world itself, because that's where you are. That's your greatest parent of all in a physical body is the world, the earth. And you're being a very, very bad child if you're not really trying to work on making things better for you and the world around you. And since you're smack dab in the middle of the world, no matter where you are, the whole world is around you. And the whole world does revolve around you. And it does revolve around me. And it revolves around the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy. It doesn't matter. So, without the words, what do? We get to the point where, yeah, we can use them to communicate, because we want to, not because we have to, not because we have to meet quotas, not because we have to make sure that this is being done properly. No. When we are in tune with the nature around us, we will do things properly because we want to, because it works life better. Life just happens better that way. It does. But when you're the only one doing it, it's hard to keep your life going that way when everybody else keeps interfering and doing this instead and saying, hey, you want this? Hey, you want to do this? Hey, you want to do this? Hey, you want to do this? Hey, try this food. It's good. I'm like, I'm not really searching after something that tastes good so that next time I'll be like, oh, I want more. Oh, I got to have that. Oh, man, I missed that flavor. No. I would rather have a healthy food. And, of course, I'm going to find more preferable ones that I like more. But I'm not going to say, let me eat only garbage just because I have to, really discipline myself and only eat stuff I don't like. No. Just be healthy about it. Don't overdo it. Eat a little bit. Stop. See if you're still really hungry. That hungry is in your mind because you've expanded your stomach too big. And as time goes on, it will shrink. And as it shrinks, it hurts a little bit. You feel hungry. Let it shrink. That way, you get fuller quicker, you don't have to eat as much, and use good things that are more filling, You won't even have to eat as much. You'll just feel that way. Next thing you know, you'll lose all kinds of weight. You'll feel all kinds of great. And you'll be helping the world. So the biggest thing is I'm saying after people start listening, they don't even really have to listen to anything about the letters and numbers, whatever. It will help them so much. They just can't imagine it. That's the issue. They can't imagine somebody caring so much and having so many answers. They can't imagine it. I couldn't have either before. I didn't imagine it. It's true. It happened. It's a factual thing in the living world. So, when all the things are said and done, basically it comes down to, can you control yourself in order to not cause harm or perform violent acts towards other things? Can you do that? If you can, then exercise that everywhere you go. When somebody else is doing something wrong, can't they learn too? Have we got to the point where every altercation has to be life or death? Everything has to be, if I don't get what I want, it's ruined, it's horrible? No. There are some things that are just heavier on your heart, like family matters and issues like that, but it shouldn't be a financial chase. It shouldn't be a status chase, all those normal things that people do that aren't normal at all. Trying to fit in with other people, although it seems like the most normal thing to do, is not when it's stepping out of what you are comfortable doing in a negative way. But it's fun. Feel your body. There's a difference between fun and ignorant bliss. Not knowing that that's horrible for you and enjoying it while you kill yourself. It's weird, and it's something we all have to stop and be tough enough to do. So basically the question is, without having to do anything special, can you, from this point on, or whatever point you decide to wake up and be an actual grown-up adult and a caring person in the world, can you go through your life without performing a negative act or a violent act on anything? Can you do that? I bet you can, if you can get control of the way you think. I know you can. I know that even if you're a cage fighter or a world-class kickboxer or something, you could understand that, I did all that stuff when I felt like I needed to, when I was running from something, when there was something I was fighting within me. And that's why I had to fight without me. Everything you're doing outside you is a reflection of what's going on inside you. Once you stop that fight inside yourself, why would you go fight anybody else? They've got their own inner battle to do, not an outer battle. Your outer battle will win you nothing but accolades and fake title belts and championships. Whoopee fucking do. Woo! Yay! Good for you, champ. That just means chump. That's a small version of the word sham. C-H-A-M. Sham. Like a magic charm. It's a C-H-A-R-M. It's a reoccurring manifestation that's making you think of a sham giving you luck. Now, you can put the luck into it. You can think the luck into it. And you can draw luck out of it. Because all the luck is in your head. And all the stuff that's in your head is in the cosmos. Whether you believe it or not. You do breathe in half of your life from the trees and the air, don't you? If you didn't, then where's it coming from? Just say God. God gave you all of it. The Creator gave you all of it. Whatever you want to call it. But I'm just asking from this point on, can you go through life and try to not harm others? And if other people are, don't stand for it. Do the best you can to remedy that situation without violence. Make sense to people. Don't lose your cool. I seem to lose my cool on these things, but I would have to say that I have a very good reason when I'm trying to save your lives and no one pays attention. And I'm still in a human world. So many times I'm so in bliss I could not even care. But at the same time I do care. I just mean I could not even care that people don't even pay attention to me because I'm not Dan. But I have to play him. So the only way I can talk to people is say, hi, I'm Dan. I can't say, I'm a spiritual being and I'm here to save. And I do say that because it's the truth. As wild as that is, I do say that once a person gets to meet me. I really don't think I'm Dan. I know I'm not. And that's the funny thing. somebody would think I was crazy. And if they sat down with me, they'd be like, he is the most brilliant person I've ever met. And not because I think so. I know so. I know nobody knows this stuff because God showed it to me in a place that isn't physical, that I can actually remember vividly every moment of every day. Maybe I don't remember every bit of information yet in words, but that's what I'm here for. In time to explain all time. How would I do that in 2 sentences besides God is everywhere and you never die? And guess what? You've done all of this. You've been me. You've lived this life and saved the world. You've destroyed the world. You've been Hitler. You've been every bushman in the trees living off of jungle funk. You've been that. You've been everywhere, and nothing against any of them. I didn't want to say it. I just wanted to try to think of the most random, just obscure thing to say about where people live in just harsh situations and bad environments where it's hard for them. And most of them, a lot of them, don't go through their lives going, man, I really wish I could live somewhere where I wore nice T-shirts with cool logos on them and nice kicks, man. I want to wear nice kicks. Yeah. No, they want to live happily, and they want to be with their families, and they want to be with loved ones. Not all necessarily blood families, but the people they care about. And they want to be around people who care about them. That's pretty plain and simple. You didn't grow up your life wanting to be a cool man in the crowd. That was taught to you, either by yourself and what you watched and learned from watching people, or from other people around you who you idolized for some silly reason. Because you were growing and developing, and you developed into something that is actually harming you. Most of us, almost all of us are. A lot of people are waking up, a little bit, but they're still a lot groggy. And here is the speed boost you've been looking for in a most pure and natural and spiritual way. I'm going to leave it at that. Till next time. I love you guys. Peace.